You didn't expect to see this on a Chesnoid Gaming channel video, did you? Welcome to F1 2020. This is early access beta version of the game. As you can see at the top, it's work in progress still. The guys at Codemasters were very kind enough to offer me a code to get some hands-on experience, not only with the game for the first time, but also, as you can see from the face cam, I'm using my new wheel as well. This is going to be in addition to all of the regular FIFA content you'll see on the channel, so don't worry, it's not replacing anything there. But as some of you may know, Formula 1 is a passion of mine, and I stream a lot of the games over on Twitch, and I will be doing so again when F1 2020 comes out. In this video, you'll see my best times from 5 timed laps on each of the tracks that I was allowed to drive and show you at the time of recording. Since I recorded this footage, we have now been given access and ability to upload footage of the Hanoi circuit in Vietnam. If you'd like to see some footage of that, then do let me know in the comment section down below. If you'd like to see more F1 2020 content on YouTube, then do let me know as well. I may be able to put up the occasional video for you here, maybe some highlights from my streams or some bona fide footage if I can find the time to upload it here on the channel as well. If not, then it can go on the second channel, or then it will be confined solely to the stream channel, of which you can find a link in the description down below. So that's the first track there at Bahrain. I basically had a few laps with a controller, because that's how I've been racing Formula 1 games quite literally all my life. My first F1 game was F1 2000. Yes, I'm that old. And since then, I've been using a controller for 2 decades, literally. I was very fortunate enough to have a very generous Twitch subscriber donate a considerable amount of money over the past few weeks, and as such I was able to afford to buy this wheel and pedal setup. I'm using a Fanatec CSL Elite F1 wheel with the wheelbase and the pedals, bought as a bundle off the Fanatec website, and then a wheelbase pro, or sorry, wheel stand pro stand for the pedals and the wheelbase and the wheel, etc. I can show you guys, you may have seen it on social media already. I can, if you'd like to see in a separate video, show you the setup and what it looks like in more detail, and maybe include that with some footage of the Hanoi circuit. So with these one hot laps here that you're seeing, this is the track in the Netherlands at Zandvoort. I've done a few laps prior to this recording session on controller. As I say, that's my primary source of control. But for the very first time, I've been using a wheel, and these are, or were, my first laps with a wheel at the majority of these circuits. Bahrain and Spain, I had done a few laps previous, but they were genuinely my first 5 laps at Zandvoort, and I was able to put in a time that was quicker than that of a controller, although again, I haven't had much hands-on time with F1 2020, so with further practice with the controller and with further practice with the wheel, my times will continue to come down. Hopefully, I'm sure they will. There's a slight difference in the handling model on F1 2020 from 2019. At least in my experience so far, I've noticed a distinct difference in the traction, in the traction zones, leaving corners particularly, with medium traction. I use, in fact, I could go into in further detail in a further video with the wheel setup and footage from Hanoi if you would like. I can show you the assists that I run in this video, and to start off with on a wheel, I'm still running with an automatic gearbox. Quite frankly, as a guy that's been using a controller and an automatic gearbox for 20 years, I dove straight in at the deep end with the wheel initially and was using, on those laps that I mentioned that I put in at Bahrain and Spain with the wheel, I was using a manual gearbox, and my old man brain quite literally could not keep up. Trying to learn all of the various different things that you need to with using pedals rather than, or pedals with your feet rather than triggers with your fingers, and left foot braking, and obviously using the wheel, and everything happens so fast in Formula 1, I could not concentrate and figure out where to place the car, my braking point, my turn-in point, feather the throttle on the way through, nail the throttle at the right point and sort my gears out at the same time. I just couldn't do it. So I'm still driving with the wheel with an automatic gearbox, and the plan is, with further practice, once I'm more comfortable with the setup, to move to then using a manual gearbox. As you can see here at Austria, I'm actually putting in a time that's significantly quicker than that of a controller. A number of these times, unfortunately, were registered as invalidated in time trial mode because corner cutting stringency is set to strict, as it would have to be for a time trial mode. I think actually this Austria lap was invalidated by me running wide at the final corner of the previous lap. If you run wide in the last few stages of a lap, then it will invalidate the lap you're on and the next lap, as obviously you would get an advantage from the last corner here at Austria, and I would have had an unrealistic or unfair advantage going down the main straight. But we are still about a tenth faster than my previous best. As you can see there in the bit at the bottom, my actual fastest time was a 1 minute 5.249, which was about a tenth or so quicker, or a couple of tenths quicker than my registered official fastest lap, which was with a controller. A couple of the tracks I was not too different between 5 laps with a controller and 5 laps with a wheel, and unfortunately at some of the tracks, most notably Italy, which is the last one that you'll see, I was significantly slower with a wheel than I was with a controller. I think here at Hungary I was slightly slower as well. There were a couple of braking points and traction zones and a couple of corner passages, like 3 or 4 corners together, a couple of sectors that I just wasn't that comfortable with at first experience with the wheel. But these were, like I say, my first laps with this setup. But here at Hungary I am almost half a second up here as we enter the latter stages of the second sector and into the third. But again, this middle sector here at Hungary is where I was struggling with the wheel, trying to make sure that my throttle application was right, my braking was right, and my turning points were correct. And I just wasn't in the right place with the car at the right time through that middle sector and ended up losing 2 or 3 tenths. I was able to gain that back, as you can see, top right, with a solid third sector, although I didn't quite nail the throttle on the way out of the final turn and did end up losing about a tenth there on the run to the line. But that was my fastest lap around the Hungaroring of a 1:17.3, significantly quicker than any of the other laps. You can see there at the bottom, my 5th fastest time on lap number 4. I may have had a coming together with a wall, maybe, perhaps, and that's why the time was a 1 minute 23. Now, Italy, this is where I found things particularly difficult with the wheel, mainly in the first and second chicanes. It's just so difficult for a noob like me with my wheel to be as accurate as I need to be with my steering inputs and my throttle application, more so than anything else. In the lower gears, in first, in the bottom end of second, I just couldn't get the traction I was looking for with the wheel that I was able to get with the controller. At present, as you can see top right, I'm not too far behind my fastest lap with the controller, but in this second chicane, I'm so confident at that first initial left that I'm with a controller that I'm not going to break traction. I'm going to be able to ride the curb and push through and then accelerate through the second corner. But with a wheel, especially through the second Lesmo there again, you can see I've now lost a full second on my fastest controller lap. However, the chicane coming up here is where usually I struggle with a controller, but with a wheel I feel a lot more comfortable through here. Although on this particular occasion, despite feeling more comfortable, I'm still actually slower than I am with a controller. A full 1.5 seconds off the pace now with the wheel. So there's still plenty of work to be done, evidently, with me with my wheel setup, but I am thoroughly enjoying using the wheel and pedal setup. It's something I've wanted since I was a small child, and something I now have the very fortuitous position to be able to use. So thank you very much to Kieran1924 on Twitch for donating the money to be able to allow me to buy this setup. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. I haven't gone into too much depth about the actual gameplay itself. If you'd like to see more, then do let me know and I will. This was more of an introductory video to show you the fact that I play F1. I'm going to be playing a lot of it on stream, and if you'd like to see more, then I'm willing to put that onto the channel if you would like to see it. Not that regularly, admittedly, because obviously I don't want to affect the YouTube algorithm and start screwing my channel over by putting up content that doesn't get anywhere near as many views as the FIFA stuff. But if you'd like to see some more F1 content, then do let me know, and I'm more than willing to put some up. But that's going to be all for this one. Again, key to bear in mind that everything you've seen here in this video is a work in progress. This is an early beta version of the F1 2020 game, so everything is subject to change. I'll be using other cars in future videos as well, specifically in that Hanoi video if you'd like to see some footage from there as well. But from now, thank you very much for watching this video. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you guys are looking forward to the F1 2020 game. I most certainly am, and will be streaming a lot of it from July 10th at launch, and hopefully with a later early build too, if we're allowed to. But for now, that's all for this one. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I'll see you in a FIFA video a little bit later on this afternoon, and I'll see you then.